Hello, it's Riikka Kovasin here, and this time I'm doing an art journal page. The projects beginning of this month were so kind of pink tone, so I decided this time to do something very different and use blues. So I grabbed a couple of different shades of blue paint and just started slapping them to a piece of cardstock. I also add some white in there to have this varying look to the background. When I'm then happy with the first layer, I use a heat tool to dry the acrylic paints and then use the same colors to add some stenciling on top. I'm mixing 3 different stencils and just adding them on top of each other in places and only one pattern in one place or several, just mixing them up. And there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just going with the flow this stage. After, when I'm happy with the stenciled layer, I add a thin brayered white layer, just kind of shaking things up a little bit, and then I'm drying the paper. Also, before moving onwards, I cut the paper to fit inside my journal. Next, I'm starting building the focal point on top. I'm using a stamping tool for a reason you'll learn quick enough, but this first stamp layer is just a sketch. So it's kind of just getting the placement right and then leaving the stamp in so I get to stamp the character to the exact same spot again. But first I'm just randomly inking the stamp and then pressing, and then I'm using a heat tool to dry the layer because the acrylic paint kind of blocks the ink from getting absorbed into the paper. So just in case the ink will be wet, I'll quickly dry it. After that, I'm then taking the white paint and painting the head of the character white, as well as adding some white paint to the owl on her shoulder. For the face, I'm using a couple of layers to get it really white, but for the owl and kind of the hairline, I'm leaving it with just one layer. Next, I'm building her costume. For that, I'm using collaging and using these little pieces of vintage paper. They might be book paper, they might be stamped leaves or just notes, musical sheets, and building this little dress for her. When I'm then happy with the layering, I then dry the layer and place the paper back to the stamping tool. This is why I chose to use the stamping tool. I want the image to be stamped right to the same spot where I put the first kind of sketchy stamping. So with this tool, I'm able to do that. So I ink the stamp, press it, and well, it's not the perfect impression, so I'll just stamp again until I get this really nice crisp image. Again, there's the acrylic paint and also the collage medium underneath the ink, so I'll use a heat tool to heat set the ink. I then cut the excess of the clothes or the dress away and adhere the page to my journal. Then it's just doodling time. I'm using Posca paint markers to add some color here and there, and then use a black marker to add a piece of journaling to her dress. These are actually lyrics from a band called Nightwish. I'm using the markers also to add a little touches of color to the background. As a finishing touch, I then added 2 words on top of the doodles or handwritten journaling there, and these are also taken from the lyrics. they weren't available, let's say, in the Tim Holtz sticker pad, so I used several different words and kind of made up the words using individual letters or bigger syllables. And there she is, a ready art journal page. I hope you liked this process video, and I hope the trick with kind of sketchy stamping and then painting is something you want to try, or maybe it was a new technique. So hopefully I did inspire you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be seeing you in a week again. Thanks. Bye.